Hello. This this program, this episode of Aids to Scouting is going to have on it an English fellow that's been doing podcasts for 15 years or so. He calls it Scoutadelic. You may have seen some of his episodes. They're very brief and he's always so positive. You're going to enjoy this. Right, dog? Say yes, yes, but it might not be suitable for your dog. In other words, have a good time. And remember, a scout is cheerful. Hello. Tonight, or today, it's night in England, and it's today here in the United States. We're having a guest, the Scoutadelic Mike, who is a international podcaster. He's our first podcaster international that we've had on this podcast, and we hope you'll enjoy it. And we're going to talk about our continuing efforts to outreach to scouting to people who don't have it, to encourage those who would like to have it or not sure or are already practicing it and need to be bolstered and told exactly all the good reasons they should continue to help the scout movement around the world. Scoutadelic Mike, your own dude.
Welcome.
Hello, how are you?
Doing well.
Fine.
Good.
Mike, tell us about it. Tell us where you what you started doing and when you started doing it, and basically how far have you gotten so far? How's it working?
Okay, so I started back in 2016 and I wanted to so in the UK we had a scouting magazine that every leader had, and I never looked at it at all. And I always thought that as leaders, we usually have really good ideas. We keep them to ourselves. We never really share, or we'll tell a leader from another group if we meet and we're like, oh, well, we did this the other week or we did that. And so I wanted to have a space where I could show people different skills and let them obviously engage with that, learn how to do that visually, and then hopefully transfer that into their own section or own units and things like that. So I started in 2016 with this mad idea that I would do 12. That's one a month. That would be 12 different people meeting a new scout every month, learning something from them. And that'll be it. It'll be 1 year of my life, and I will happily, say goodbye and get back to scouting normally with my cub pack. And then after the year, I had hit my target, and I was like, okay, well, I'll do another year. I'll do 2 years. 2 years will be fine. And I did 2 years and I hit my target that I wanted to hit and went over it. I was like, okay, I can't keep on doing a year on year on year because I want to plan really, really good episodes and I want to go to different places. And I can't do that in a year. I've got to pre-plan or save up a bunch of money. So I decided I'll do 5 years. 5 years, my fifth year was 2020. And in January 2020, I filmed my 50th episode. I was down in London and I was with my best friend at the time. And after the episode had been filmed, because I didn't know what was going to happen in my 50th, I got someone else to organize it for a change. And I was talking to him about, I think this is the last year. I'm at 3,000 subscribers. I'm nowhere near 5,000, which is what I wanted to hit after 5 years. I thought that was reasonable. And so I was just chatting to him thinking, yep, this is going to be it. So he was like, well, what do you want to do in your last year? 2 months later, a pandemic hit and everyone was obviously online. So my whole world changed. So I was working from home because obviously I worked in an office. So we worked remotely after that. So I was working from home. Then after finishing work, I was filming something to go online to help scouts from all over the world with an idea that they could do with their group online. And I then continued to do that. And suddenly I shot past my 5,000 subscriber level that I wanted to hit. And now this is my 10th year doing it. And I've met over 120 people who have literally been part of my show, taught me a skill. I've got some amazing friends from it that I would never have met. I've been to many places. I've been to Candlestick. I went to Kenya just like sort of last year. This last month I went to Malta. So I've been now trying to go out and about and abroad and like sort of find scouting what happens in other countries because I'm fascinated about all these different things. And I've never been to a jamboree yet, but little things like that I'd love to go. I'd be like a kid in a candy shop. I'd be like, oh my goodness me, oh, it's a Canadian Scout because they wear a red shirt, or oh, I know that neckerchief because that's. And yeah, so I've been doing it
Jamboree.
for this is my 10th year now, and yeah, I'm excited. I'm still the scouting geek that I like to be. Yeah.
Well, how did you get the name Scoutadelic?
Because Scoutalicious was taken, and that was my original idea.
I like Scoutalicious. That's good, but Scoutadelic fits.
Well, this is it. So my initials are when obviously my parents gave birth to me and everything else. I'm Michael
That
Ashton
usually happens
Douglas.
that way. Yeah.
It does, yeah. A stalk or parents do something. So my initials are Michael Ashley Douglas, which is mad. So I've always been the mad one in the family, and just Scoutadelic, psychedelic, weird, wacky, madness fit together, and it's stayed since. And yeah, and that's how
So
a Scoutalicious would have been better if it was like a food channel, I think.
hey, that's a good idea. I wonder what the Scoutalicious channel does. I
Copyright.
haven't seen it.
Copyright.
Oh.
I think if I remember correctly, 10 years ago, Scoutalicious was a German event, and it was German Scouts, and I think it was like sort of for a week or maybe a weekend, and I was like, oh, I can't do that. Can't do that to them because if they're successful, I'll be off the back of them. But if I'm successful, they're getting all my like
Yeah.
sort of my product, all my followers. So Scoutadelic was born, and yeah, this is it.
Boy, one of the things that there's obviously the Scout law is important to all of us, all three of us, and people all over the world. And I keep thinking a Scout is cheerful, and that man is cheerful.
Yes,
and that's great.
You've got to be. You've got to be.
Mike, we've had some people on, and I kind of want to remind them to be cheerful, because if somebody's tuned in and watching us, I want them to get this, what you've got, that enthusiasm and that cheerfulness.
Let me ask about the origin of your Scout enthusiasm, if you don't mind. What was your first experience like as a youngster? Your first, I'm going to scouting. Mine was a Cub Scout event. I wonder what yours was.
So my first memory, or my first like sort of Cub activity. So my Cub pack was just across the road from me, and the first week that I was going to go, it rained, and I decided I wasn't going to go. And so I went the next week because it wasn't raining. And for the whole of my life in my Cub pack and obviously scouting with that group, my group scout leader would always remind me, you were the kid that didn't come because it was raining, but everyone else would come. And I did Cubs for like a couple of months because I was just on that cusp age over here of going into scouting.
What is
obviously
the age?
So for over here, it's 11 and a half. No, it's 10 and a half, 11. So that's your kind of like if they get to 10, like sort of when they get to 10, it's like, right, how long are we keeping you for? Are we keeping you to 10 and a half or 11? And then 10 and a half to 14 is scouts. 14 to 18 is explorer scouts. 18 to 25 is network or leaders. And then 25 older, you're very old, but you can still act like a kid and pretend that you're doing something like sort of scouting wise. But we also have squirrels now. So squirrels are, I want to say, about 4 to 5, and then beavers, which are 5 to 6, and then 6 to. I think that's right. I'm sure someone in the UK is going to correct me, but squirrels we've only had for about a couple of years now. So it's very much a new section. But yeah, we have squirrels, beavers, cubs, scouts, explorers, network, and then being an old fuddy like me. So yeah.
Well, that's one thing that I find interesting that we don't really have here is um, that older group after
Mhm.
18, and so but I know that in Europe and maybe in
Oh,
other places
rovers,
in the
yeah,
world, it's
yeah.
quite interesting how these people that are up to the age of 25 or 26 are still getting out and doing scouting.
Mhm.
Now, I'm sure they also help the younger scouts. So
Mhm.
there's a
Yes. Oh
lot of
yeah.
that. There's
Yeah.
junior, there's assistant scoutmasters and cub leaders and all. But so, could
Yeah.
you speak a little bit about how that is, if you don't mind, that little bit older group? I'd like to see that in the United States too.
Okay, well, so I think we have it called network over here, but obviously rovers is mostly like European, and that was the age range for that. You'll find that most network members are at university, so they might not be in their city or where they used to like sort of be part of their, like their old
Yep.
like sort of unit or group. So you'll find that there's in the UK there's something called SAGO, which is Student Scout and Guide organization, and so they're kind of part of a network, so they form a big part of network in the UK because they're at university meeting up with other scouts, they're doing activities together, but also they're helping other groups in that area, so they're helping like beaver sections, cub sections, so on and so forth. So when I first started, I was technically network age, but I never joined a network. I threw myself into being an assistant leader and then a wacky cub leader. And yeah, cubs are the best. So
That's
I have to say that
wacky.
officially.
Wacky cub leaders. I can
A
still
wacky cub
remember
leader.
so many I've met in my life who embraced wackiness, and
Yeah.
children love that because there's a certain uh, authenticity to it.
Mhm.
The
Oh yeah.
authenticity of Peter Pan. That was so BP loved Peter Pan, and he thought it was a great
Yeah.
idea, and
Mm.
and it was just such a great thing. I often sing that song to children, and they've not heard it
Mm.
before about growing up. Remember the American version of Peter Pan and how
Yeah.
growing up means it would be beneath my dignity to climb a tree.
Hey, I could climb a tree. The downside is nowadays I don't know if I could get down from that tree.
That is
So
the
that's
trouble.
the
Well,
thing. I went to Scotland just 2 days ago now,
yep.
and there's a site there which is for the Fells, and they literally have a tree that you can climb, and I was like, nah. I'll take a picture. I'll do a video of it looking all the way up. I'm not going on one of those steps. I'm sorry. If I was with my cubs, I always said to my cubs that I would never get them to do something that I wouldn't do myself. So if I was there with my cubs, I would possibly have to pretend that I'm fearless and get up there. It's just getting down is the other option of I don't think I can do that. So yeah.
Yeah.
I want
Well,
to I'm gonna talk up some sorry, Walker, I want to ask
go
a
ahead.
question
Go
about
ahead.
this. Um, Here in the States, we have chartered organizations like churches and things, and that's the people who host a scout troop for their weekly meetings, what have you, and then they go off to camp and do their own things. Um, at it seems like because of so many different levels that you have available in the UK scouting, it's almost like it must be in the public schooling. Is that where your chartered organizations are, or is it
No,
similar like that?
so I think there's one country that does do that, as in it is part of their schooling, as in you go to school, you are in scouting no matter what.
Mhm.
And I want to say it's the Philippines, but it's in that area. And that's why they are the highest amount of scouts,
Mhm.
because literally as soon as you go into school, that is it.
Yeah.
You'll find in the UK, obviously there are some that are go by the religion, so they'll have like a church hall. I
Mhm.
was so my like sort of cub pack was in a church hall. You'll have some that actually have their own halls themselves. We have obviously Muslim scouts as well, so they like sort of I want to say I think it's a hall. I don't know if it's based in the same like sort of religious area as like sort of their religion, but yeah. Um, But it depends. Some are like sort of school halls, but they're not attached to that school. As in, so we would have to go to church services, but we didn't force every cub to go to church services or every scout to go to church service. Sometimes, if they were agnostic, is it agnostic? Is that
Yeah,
right?
that's the word.
Or no, is it atheist?
Both.
Atheists,
Either
and they
one.
don't believe in. If they didn't believe, then they didn't have to go. Or if they went to a different like sort of religion or different church, then they could do that instead of obviously going to ours.
Mhm.
But there's a various different things. We have different promises and laws depending on your religion, and whether you want to serve your king and country now, or whether you want to serve your country as well. So there's various different types for different like sort of specific religions and groups.
Interesting.
Hmm.
It's all
What
the
we
same.
try to
It's
do,
all the same promise and law and oath here, across
Okay.
the board, because I don't think it really specifically touches on. Well, of course, we don't. It's not for the president or anything. Doesn't
Hmm.
make a difference, but it
Yeah,
is
yeah,
to the country, and it is to
yeah.
God, because at least
Hmm.
generally across the board, most people in America are Christian, or
Hmm.
Muslim, or that's pretty
or
much the top two, I guess, or
Yeah, yeah,
agnostic or
or
atheist, but
Jewish. Yeah.
yeah,
or Jewish, yeah, but
yeah,
very
Yep.
yeah.
And then of
Yeah,
course
we
we
do
have
have Jewish scouts as well.
well,
So we have
well,
all the different religions that you can think of. We've
Mhm,
probably got them somewhere in the UK.
mhm,
But yeah.
yeah,
well, you do remember that in at least in the American version, it says the scout is reverent. He's reverent toward God. He's
Mhm.
faithful in his religious duties, and
Yeah,
basically it is tolerant of the differences of opinions of others. But
yeah.
we had a kind of a requirement that it was certainly not atheist.
mhm,
And although Baden-Powell is not known as a great religionist, he often talked about prayer and
Hmm.
watch, when you see that train going away, then have a little silent prayer of safety for those who are aboard that train and things like that.
Yeah.
So
I
he had that.
I think Yeah, I think we have so those that are atheists, we have something as spiritual belief, as in, so it's not about believing in God, but it's about your spiritual and the mental health as well.
mhm,
So looking at that, um, so yeah, so I think we still have that, but it's not like well, so going back to my cub pack, one of my leaders was atheist, but she enjoyed being in scouting, so she did everything that she could do. If she had to go to like a church, she would go to the church,
mhm,
even though she didn't believe. She went because she believed in what we were doing, obviously with kids and the young people and
mhm,
everything else like that. Nowadays, she wouldn't have to hide that part of herself. And it would make an open discussion with obviously the Cubs and the young people as to, okay, there's people who are religious, there's people that aren't. What are the differences? Why this? What does she do differently that obviously maybe a Christian? And then it gets us into talking about obviously Jewish people, Muslims, and
mhm,
all those different types. So it kind of opens it up and makes it free that you can be yourself. You don't have to, like she was lying about her religious beliefs just so that she could, pretend to the Cubs that, she had something, or that she belonged, when actually she belonged no matter what.
Well,
mhm,
for when I think of that, when I hear you saying all that, I think of things like uh, Glastonbury, and I think of you druids over there, and cutting the
Well, we do
mistletoe
try
out
it.
of the trees and things like that. It's my wife and I've been over and been up to the Outer Hebrides and just the various standing stones things over there, and it's just. Uh,
Mm.
what part of England are you in, Mike?
So I'm in Yorkshire,
Uh,
so I'm kind of in the middle and
yes,
to the east, I do
yes.
believe. So I'm in East Yorkshire.
You
So I have a Yorkshire accent,
you may have
supposedly.
noticed how on our intro we have some bagpipe music, and
Yes, yeah.
I'm a piper myself, and
Oh
member
wow.
of the Burns Club of Atlanta, and Elliott's been
Oh,
with
so
me
have you
there.
just done Burns? Have you just celebrated Burns nights? I think it was
It,
a few. I think it was
we had
Wednesday last week.
it was last Saturday night, but it was the weather made it. It's this coming Saturday night. but it's
Okay.
so
Okay.
we'll do that.
Oh,
So we
All
have
right. That's good.
yeah.
That's good. Yeah, but you can't go. You guys can't have haggis, I do believe.
Oh
So I'm
yes,
just
we have
saying.
haggis. Of course, we have
Oh, 'cause
haggis, and we
I
have.
do believe that it's isn't it? Isn't it? Because it's a sheep's stomach. I don't think it's allowed in America.
I
I'm
don't know.
sure. I'm like,
Well,
oh,
legality may not be the issue.
Americans. That's right. Americans don't
oh, okay.
necessarily.
What we don't know, what we do not see does not matter. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, tell us about tell how how prosperous is scouting in the UK right now?
Yeah,
I
like
mean,
what percentage of
is it
youth are
just a little
involved?
tiny groups, or is it getting to be pretty popular and widespread again, like it
I
was?
think we've been lucky to have obviously Bear Grylls as our chief scout
Mhm.
for
Yes.
like sort of the last 10-ish years, and then we obviously had our new one, which is Dwayne Field. So he's been in the role for a year.
Mhm.
Obviously we've had the pandemic as well, and we've had squirrels. So we've kind of before the pandemic, we were increasing in like sort of size. The downside is, and I'm guessing this is the same in the US, it's adult volunteers.
Mhm.
We have a lot of waiting lists, but we don't have the adults to actually have the right ratios for the amount of kids that we want to obviously have in scouting.
Mhm.
Then obviously the pandemic kind of dropped our numbers quite a bit. But I think we're doing good. I don't think I've seen an email saying like sort of negatively that we're not doing that great with numbers. I don't know them off the top of my head, so I can't go, well, we actually at 140,000 million like sort of young people. So I don't know the numbers, but I think obviously Squirrels has helped. Squirrels started obviously, like I said, only recently in the UK, but it was something that in Northern Ireland they did quite a while. And they realized that actually teaching them from that younger age about life skills and things like that allows them to stay in the movement a lot longer and even become leaders, which I think that's the whole argument of at the moment we're struggling because we don't have leaders to like sort of help with young people. So if you
Mhm.
have a young person who is gonna stay in the movement and become a leader,
Mhm.
then you've got to wait at least a good 10 15 like 15 years, but
Mhm.
hey, once you've got that, boom.
Yeah, yeah, it's in
But
there
yeah,
somewhere.
it's doing well. I haven't heard anything bad. I think we're okay. The only thing is, and I guess obviously it's happened across the world because of the pandemic. A lot
Yes.
of places have had to, like, we've had a few of our campsites close or not
Yes.
been able to like sort of sustain because of the pandemic and because of obviously things like that.
Mhm.
We have had I know the UK Scouting has sold a few buildings and a few places,
Mhm.
which one of them is Baden-Powell House in London,
Mhm.
which was kind of like it was like a hostelry type like sort of place. It's now gone to a college. So in a sense, I always look at it that yes, it's been sold, and yes, obviously they've had to sell it because it was a big, massive building that they really didn't use that much. But at least it's now being used to educate young people.
Yeah.
So in a sense, it's still a win-win. I always think. But yeah,
Yeah.
we've had that. Those are all the like sort of the main like sort of problems, I guess. But
Mhm.
yeah, I think we're all right. I'm
As a
around the world. We're doing amazing. We've got
Well,
millions
tell
of
about
numbers
that
nowadays. So
to the best of your knowledge, and I'm not asking for numbers, but talk about around the world because we're hoping to. For example, I'd like to talk to the chief scout executive who's fluent in English in Kenya. That for some reason I think
oh,
Kenya
okay,
and of
okay.
course and the Philippines. That'd be neat too. To
I would
talk
like
to.
to talk to someone in the Philippines, being that their schools are the ones that house the scouting units.
Yeah.
On a scale before you get into that though, on a scale difference, you were talking about the pandemic is what has
Mm,
kind of diminished a lot of the scout numbers, and that's around the world for sure. Um,
yeah, yeah.
Obviously, the United States is scaled a little bit different than the UK. So I'll talk about my council and I'll talk about our region down here. Our region, we're in the southeastern United States. We're in Georgia is the state that we're in.
Okay.
But Walker and I are both involved with the Flint River Council, and which is just a breakdown. I don't. How many councils are in Georgia? Do you think, Walker? Is it 12 or something like that?
I'm not sure.
Okay, so we're one of that many.
Okay.
The council just below us had sold off their whole camp, which was Camp Ben Hawkins
Wow.
down there. So that's just like the Baden-Powell house, just on a different scale. That was their premier summer camp. That's where most of the troops from that council would go to summer
Oh,
camp,
dear.
as well as surrounding councils and things like that too.
Yeah.
We also had a smaller campsite. I don't remember exactly if it was the pandemic that was the final nail in the coffin, but we had some other property in the Flint River Council that some people used as uh, just a spare campground. You know, the scout skills. You can just go there, just
Yeah.
out in the middle of nowhere. But anyways, yeah, to the best of your knowledge, because I can only think about the United States. We are so full of ourselves over here. What do you think the state of scouting around the world
Say
is?
nothing. I think World Scouting have just I think a few months back they released about there being like sort of a massive number. They've reached I think maybe 80 million or 90 million, something massive around the world. I do think, and yeah, I think scouting around the world is different. As in, I'm envious. Well, I'm kind of gutted. I will never be an Eagle Scout in my life, and then like. I'd like to say I was an Eagle Scout, but I can't because I don't do it in America. Um,
Mhm.
but I'm guessing there's things that we do that you're like, oh, that would be kind of good. And there's like other things and other areas. And I think that's the good thing about scouting, and especially being online,
Mhm.
is that we can show what we do, and then other people can go, that's I like that idea. Now maybe we don't get like the high end of scouting going, you know what we need? We need squirrels in the USA, or vice versa. You know what we need? We need Eagle Scouts in the UK.
What is the
But
equivalent there? What's
Well,
the equivalent of
you
an
had
Eagle Scout?
Queen
well,
Scout.
so we have so we have the Queen or King Scout now,
King Scout.
because
Yeah, that's true.
unfortunately the Queen is unfortunately not with us anymore.
Right.
But yeah, so the King Scouts, which if I knew about it, so you can get your King Scout up to the age of I think 25. I think when you hit 25, that is literally like sort of it.
Yeah.
And if I knew what I knew now, when I was obviously a leader, I would have gone for it. Now I can't. I'm too old to be a King. See, I can't be an Eagle Scout. I can't be a King Scout.
You
Nothing.
know what
You know
Baden
how I started really happy and jolly. You've made me sad now that I've realised I
oh
can never be an
Mike,
eagle and I can never be a King Scout.
Well,
you
how
know
about this? To add
how
to
about
your
this?
frustration, our Eagle Scout cutoff is 18 years old. So you guys have even longer, and you blew it there too.
Nah,
Wow! Thank you.
I'm
but
just
See,
kidding.
wait a minute. Baden Powell, when he goes down to
yeah,
our local scout camp, and he tells the adult leaders, he says, "You're overemphasizing Eagle Scout. What we
Mhm.
need to emphasize is first class scout and first
mm,
class citizen." But that's not every kid is going to be able to stay in scouting, but they can become proficient in the important
yeah,
skills.
Do
You
you
know,
have?
yeah.
one
Do
thing
they
I've
have?
thought about. Go ahead, Elliot. Go ahead.
I was asking about do y'all have that what type of ranking system is in the UK Scouts? Is it like tenderfoot first? We have Scout, tenderfoot, second class, and then first class. You don't have that at all.
We don't have
Oh, well
rankings
then,
now. No, so
You,
in each section you would have like a patrol leader and an assistant patrol leader. You'd have obviously like your awards. For each section you'd have like like a challenge award. So you do certain challenges to get the badges, and then once you've got them all, you'd obviously earn that. So you'd have so bronze would be in beavers. Silver was Cubs, gold was in that sort of scouts, explorers would be platinum, and then you would eventually go into getting like your Queen Scout or your King Scout awards when you got old. And then obviously get too old. We don't have the rank system as you guys do. Which I don't know. I think I don't understand it. So during the pandemic, I was very lucky enough to actually speak to a few American like sort of scouts on Zoom, doing some of their badge work. So I would come in as a guest and talk about Yorkshire pudding and all these different things and how we don't have the 4th of July. I always made the joke that I when they talked about Independence Day, I was like, oh yeah, when we saved the aliens, and they like sort of scouts look at me blankly, and I'm like, don't they watch the film Independence Day? That's the only thing I can joke with them about. So yes, I would always talk to them about that. But the rankings, I understand that obviously Eagle is the top, and I understand that you've got to get a lot of badges to get an Eagle Scout, and you've got to do lots of work. But yeah, I think for us level wise, it would be the King Scout, and we do something called DAV, which is Duke of Edinburgh, and that kind of like sort of tallies with sometimes what Explorer Scouts do and Network Scouts do level wise. So if you do it in scouting, you can also claim it as Duke of Edinburgh, and then when you're applying for jobs, you can say, oh well, I got Duke of Ed gold level or whatever. Just like I'm guessing when you guys apply for jobs, I'm an Eagle Scout.
100%, and it helps so much too.
Well,
I think for all the older lot, it should be the Wolf Scouts. As older lot get at least. That's my goal. I've always said that I will retire the day that I am awarded the Silver Wolf, which is the highest honor or award that a leader can actually receive over here. Or if World Scouting ever wants to give me the Bronze Wolf, I'm either wolf I'm fine with. The silver one might look better, but I'll take one. So if anyone ever wants to get rid of Scoutadelic, just give me a Wolf Award. I'll leave. I will happily put down my laptop and never have to do a video again.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Have you traveled? Where all of you? You said you went to Malta, and I've recently read a couple of books about the Malta during the war and all that, and where
Baden-Powell was there for 3 years. So during his younger years, Baden-Powell actually was over there because his uncle was stationed there as the like the chief of Malta or something like that.
Yep.
It's all in my YouTube. So if you go onto my YouTube channel, which is Scoutadelic, you'll be able to find all that history. Because I haven't done a jamboree before. The first place that I ever have gone internationally to visit is Candlestick in Switzerland. So I went there last year, and it was exactly, I can't describe it to you because it's one of those where when you go, it just makes sense that is scouting and that's what everyone is, and everyone's so. I went during the off season, which is winter time, so it was snowing, which was beautiful anyway, to see Switzerland and the Swiss hills and everything else like that. It's even better that next door to the campsite of Candlestick is an actual nuclear bunker. So I've always said if there's a nuclear war, the Scouts are going to survive because they're going to go straight in, and that's it. I've also been to Kenya to see Baden-Powell's grave. I went to Nyeri in November of last year. So that was it November? It was last. All I remember is it came out in December. It was my 120th. It was my 10-year kind of last episode there. I've done Malta. I've just gone to Glasgow. I'm going to Poland this upcoming weekend to film there some Scoutadelic stuff. And then I've had a crazy idea that if it works, in March, I'm possibly going to 7 countries in 7 days to find out about scouting in every single country that I go. So I don't know how I'm going to do that, but I've got 1,000,001 mad ideas that are on my wall behind me. Well, behind the
add this
laptop,
one,
and that's one of them.
Add this one to your idea. Why don't you come visit the 2026 National Jamboree in West Virginia here in the United States?
Because it's too costly going over there. I can get a flight. Well, this is the worst thing. So I can get a cheaper flight than me getting a train from my house. Well, not my house, but from my city to the airport. That's about 40, 50 odd pounds. But to get the flight to Malta, for example, that was £20. So it's like, but Malta's that far away. So yeah, it's
The,
a bit mind blowing. But America, I would love to go. I would love, but then the problem is, if I go, I'd have to do all the states, and then if I did all the states,
Oh,
that's
no.
I can't do like one state every day because Ryan Trahan did that on YouTube, and that looked mad anyway. So and then I'm never going to meet every single person, and then
No,
it's
well,
going to be
that's
wild.
that's why I suggest the jamboree, because that's from all the scouts from all the states gather there, and it's every 4 years. But you're right. It is crazy, but I will say this: as far as the states
It is
go,
on the wall already, but not just going to America is on the wall, if that
yeah,
helps.
yeah. I've never been to a jamboree myself either, so I haven't seen. But this year is supposed to have 34,000 scouts from all around the
Wow.
United States, and of course some international scouts because they always show up.
And anyone who go, I think there's
Anyone
someone
with a
who actually
neckerchief can come.
Googles jamboree. It's like, there's one there.
well,
Yes,
Not
yeah.
me. I can't afford that yet.
I'm hoping. At this point. I'm tentatively hoping to go to the Poland World Jamboree,
Oh, I'd love to go to the
Yes,
World Jamboree.
and then I went to the one here
it's a
in
£15 flight.
2019.
Sorry,
Do what?
it's a
He said it's
£15 flight for me.
it's
Sorry, go
1,500
on.
Yeah,
for
I
me,
know.
probably.
Do you fly out of Luton, or what field do you fly
I
out
know
of?
it would be Manchester.
Ma- Oh my goodness. Well, that's great. Well, that, yeah, that's nice. But
Most people abroad know London, but when you say like Manchester, it's like,
yeah,
what is that?
oh yeah, I've heard that Luton, it was so cheap to fly. Yeah, I
It
guess
is.
you don't even have seats. You just stand up on the plane until it gets there. 20 minutes later.
I did joke at one point that the company that obviously flies will have like sort of seats where you can hold on to the wing and just hold on for dear life, and you get a good view, get wind in your hair, but
Yeah.
you've just got to hold on really tightly. So yeah,
If you don't have
But
goggles, just shut your eyes real
going, that'll
tight.
be fine.
but tell me a little bit about. We don't have a lot of sea scouting here, so tell me
Okay.
about sea scouting in the UK and anywhere else that you are familiar with it, because I find that
So
interesting since I'm not a sailor. Well, a little bit, but not
So
much.
I did an episode with some Sea Scouts who then told me that I'm not an actual scout. I'm called a spud scout because I stay obviously on the ground. So I was like, I'm a spud scout. Okay.
That's
But
great.
yeah, so the Sea Scouts I know in Ireland, because I had one of their leaders on there, and then she did a video of them cooking on the actual boat about I think it was like pasta or something like that, and it was just like you could the video is like sort of very rocky, so that I should really put like a motion sickness. If you suffer motion sickness, do not watch this video. So I know they're in Ireland, and I know obviously we have some Sea Scouts in London who actually help out. In some cases with like sort of local, like the Coast Guard and like sort of the River Guard and like sort of things like that. But yeah, because I'm a Spud Scout, I don't know much about them, but I know they exist, and I know that they did a lot during the war as well, and
Yes.
help save lives. But that's as far as my knowledge goes as a Spuddy. So yeah, sorry.
Here in America, you'll find across a lot of government officials and a lot of military people that have been in the military, people that have make careers out of being in the military, tend to always have a background in scouting. Does that coincide over there in UK Scouts as well? Does a lot of scouts end up going into the military or serving in some sort of political position?
I don't know actually. I think there's a nice mixture. I, for one, never went into the military. I don't. I'm wacky enough to know not to.
I
But
didn't
then,
either.
my mum was obviously military based, so she did all of that. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's probably a fair mix, but I find that a lot of scout leaders that I know are teachers. and they want to like sort of still do their hobby, but actually do it as a teacher as well, and teach them specific things. So I'd say about quite a lot of my friends are teachers, and they're really good, like sort of scout leaders. Not sure if they're a really good teacher. I've not seen that, but I assume that they should be. They should be the same. I don't know.
Somewhere, yeah.
Well, you probably, Mike, you probably know what West Point is. That's our national military academy up in New York. And at West Point, it used to be that the majority of officers, students, incoming cadets were scouts, and the majority of them were Eagle Scouts because it was not that easy to get into West Point. It's
maybe that's why I didn't go to the military, because I'm not an Eagle Scout. Maybe that's why over here we don't really go, because we can't get that Eagle sort of that Eagle qualification. So it's like fine.
Well, you do remember how Baden-Powell was not a great student, but he tested so high in the training. I mean, in the qualifications examinations, I think he came in second out of hundreds and hundreds, and so he went to Sandhurst because of that, and got into the cavalry and the hussars, and went to India and the whole bit. But he was quite a soldier. So
he was indeed.
Yep, he was indeed. All right, keep talking about. Tell me about in Kenya. And when you went to Kenya, did you meet scout leaders there?
I did, which is weirdly enough. I didn't. I don't. And this is probably bad on me. I don't like to impose on people. So when I went to Neri, I didn't try to find any like sort of scouts. I was just like, right, I'm going to do this, going to film there. Then I'm going to do something for me, as in go on a safari or something like that. And then I'm going to go back home. It'll be fine. No one will know. And I went to Neri. I got to the like sort of the grave, and there's a BP center just next door to the grave. And the guy there was like, "I know who you are." I was like, "How?"
You're like, now I'm embarrassed for not calling ahead.
But he was very grateful with his time. He not only showed me the grave, talked to me about everything else, helped me set up a few shots as well. But then we went to obviously Pack 2, which obviously where Baden-Powell like sort of lived out his the remaining like sort of years of his life there. And then we went to there's a really nice like clock tower that there's actually sketches in Pack 2 of the clock tower that he actually like sort of made, and like well, I don't think he physically made it, but he designed it and got it made. So we did that. And then he was like, "Do you want to meet some scouts?" I was like, "You might as well. Whilst I'm here, I've not got anything else to do." So we went out, and so their buses are a bit interesting. So it's not a bus; it's like a little cart with like sort of about 9 seats, like a minibus type thing. And you can either you wait until the bus is full. So if you could wait like an hour, or you could wait 10 minutes and then get another bus that's obviously full, and then that goes off in 10 minutes. So buses aren't scheduled, which is weird to begin with. We got to obviously out of Neri, and I met these girls who were at school. So their scouting is also within the nuns and the school that they're obviously with, and they were all girls, and they were telling me about how they have these many different roles. They have like so they have obviously like we have a patrol leader and an assistant patrol leader, but they have a quartermaster, they have a first aider, they have every single one of them. It's like sort of there's 12 girls, and I'm just like, wow, we don't tend to have that many. We have one or two here and there. And then they were saying about all these like tests that they have to do, and I'm just like, if the British Scouts came over here and versed these girls will wipe the floor out of the British like sort of lot, that's for sure. But it was just amazing to see them. Then the taxi driver that drove me from Nairobi to Nyeri and then back again. He was a scout and his son was a scout. And then I got a taxi to just before my flight. I went to see some giraffes because I was like, I haven't seen any giraffes yet, so I wanna see them. So he took me, and he was obviously part of scouting. He was like high up in the Kenyan scout thing, and he was like, "Oh, this is gonna be great! I can't wait to see obviously the episode and so on and so forth." So yeah, so quite a lot of people are scouts, but then that's the good thing about scouting is once you wear this, the neckerchief, people notice you and go, "Oh, either I used to be a scout, I am a scout," or in my case, if I wear bright orange, "Oh, I know you." Which is
So,
scary because it's like,
when you travel, do you wear a necker? When you travel, do you
yes,
wear the necker?
so well, it depends. It depends on how I'm feeling. If I'm on a train and it's a long journey and I want to hide from the fact that I've got a lot of filming to do, I won't wear the neckerchief. But if I am filming or if I'm doing, if I'm getting to go there and then filming straight away, I will wear my neckerchief. But to be honest, I think I should wear it more often. There's a guy who I know who was in Candlesteg, and
Yeah.
he now wears it all the time because a lot of people will stop him and talk to him that would have passed him by because he didn't have his neckerchief on. So yeah.
Well, just think how this for the last 150, 200 years, men have worn cravats or neckties, and so, but
Mm.
it said nothing other than I'm a conformist, and
Yeah.
and so with a necker on, you remember in that great song he says, if growing up, what if I don't want to grow up, I don't want to wear a tie or a serious expression in the middle of July.
Yep.
Oh, so that's great. I'm glad. I've heard that traveling around, you wear a necker, and then
Mm.
people will do exactly that, and they'll and anyway. Do you have much contact with scouting in Germany or France? Have you talked to many
So
people
I
about that?
So I went. So Germany has a castle that the scouts own. So you
Hmm.
can abseil down one of the towers, which is absolutely amazing. So again, if you want to obviously look at these are available on my YouTube channel.
Yeah,
I've got to plug my YouTube channel in there somewhere.
Don't worry, we're
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
get
No,
all
well,
we're gonna have everything on here for you.
yeah,
But yeah,
is
so I know a few people in Germany. I'm obviously going to Poland to go to the Scouting Museum there.
yeah.
So that's my next stop. Um, I now know some people in Malta because I went to Malta, filmed all my stuff, then obviously edited and put out my video, and then the amount of Maltese scouts who messaged me going, "Oh, you're still in Malta? We'd love to meet up, or you could come to mine." It's like I went to Scotland. I posted a picture to say, I'm going to Scotland." The amount of people in Scotland were like, "Oh, well, are you free now? Are you free over the weekend?" It's like, yeah, I'm coming, filming, and going back up again. I've not got the time to actually do all
Actually,
that.
I'm already home.
Well, so that's the thing about my 7 like sort of day like sort of idea or mad idea is that by the time that the episode, like the first country comes out, I'll be in the second country. So hopefully I can go, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm already in my next phase." But yeah, so
No, that's
but I
great.
do. I do tend to try to keep contacts, but the problem with me doing Scoutadelic now for 10 years is I have that many contacts in that many places in the world that I
Yeah.
sometimes forget to keep in contact with people.
Oh, I
So it's
understand.
it's only when I need them that they'll get a message. It's like, "Well, what do you want? What video are you needing me to do?" And it's like, "Well, could you do me a video about this?" So yeah.
Sounds great. Do you speak any foreign languages?
I
Do you
wish I
speak it?
did. No.
Um,
I took German and I got a D in my exams in GCSE.
yes.
I know how to say guten Tag.
Ah,
I have I have been trying. I think one of my goals would be to learn as many different hellos in different languages. So at
yes.
least if I ever go to a jamboree when I'm 80, I can at least say hello to every single or just reel through them and be like, "Hello, good day, guten Tag,
Yes.
but I'm not there yet. I know maybe a handful. I should learn more, but I'm a Brit, they should learn English.
Hey, I'm an
No,
American, and
hey,
they should learn English.
Yeah.
international. Hey, all of you international listeners, don't listen to that man.
Yeah,
I
yeah. Never listen to me, trust me.
well, Mike, when I traveled in back, I was hitchhiking around in Europe in 1966, and again in
Wow.
1970, 71. But
Mhm.
I'd travel with these people who would have a heavy foreign accent, except for when they would sing something like a Beatles song, and then they'd have and back in those days, the music that was so popular that the English was clear, and so you knew the words. Things
Mhm.
like, well, just you think of any Beatles song, and it was kind of neat. And
Yeah.
so I enjoyed
You
that a
find you
lot.
find you find that most countries who are like sort of bilingual, as in they have their
Yep,
own language and they can obviously speak English. You'll
yep,
find that most of them have an American twang or tinge to their like sort of their English. It's mainly because most TV programs are you don't tend to have like sort of a lot of British programs going out around the world. But American programs, they're all over the place. You've got
Everywhere.
Netflix, you've got all over, so people are
yep.
learning from them, and therefore they sound a little. You obviously they're not American. You can tell they're not American, but that there's got that little twang or little tinge of Americanism in there, and it's like, "Oh, okay, you've been watching a lot of American shows, haven't you?"
Mhm.
Well, back
Yeah.
back when I was young, I traveled in Holland some and in Sweden, and they had more of an English tone to them because their
Mm.
teachers were English back in those days.
Ah, okay,
And
yeah,
so,
yeah,
but
yeah,
but nowadays, I know exactly what you're saying. It's
Mhm.
yeah.
I'm just hoping that everybody in the world will speak American Southern someday.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's
No,
real
Yorkshire,
important. Yeah,
Yorkshire,
no,
Yorkshire,
no,
all the
man,
way.
that ain't right, boy. That just
You
ain't
know,
right.
I was just considering. I was telling my kids a story the other day. There was a young man when I was in first grade, and his parents had immigrated from Mexico, and so he could speak a little bit of English, but he learned it from the TV, just like you were talking about. And one of his favorite programs was SpongeBob SquarePants. And so, if you know anything about that show, one time I saw the kid get really upset at somebody else, and his insult that he hurled at him was he called him a Krabby Patty. And I thought that I thought I still think about
Love
that.
it,
I'm like,
love
what a
it,
good one. He
love
really
it.
got him
That's
with
a
that.
good one. A
Krabby Patty.
Krabby
Yeah,
Patty. I've
I
never
Krabby
even heard
Patty.
that.
Rabbit, yeah. I love
Oh,
it. I love it.
that's
You are
great.
Krabby Patty is how he said it. Oh man, everybody laughed.
That's
Yeah,
great.
he totally won. He won the argument, whatever it was. That was
Oh,
the
definitely.
that was the last
Well,
last word.
well, Mike, one of my favorite uh, plays back was that Pygmalion. You remember by George Bernard Shaw, and they made My Fair Lady out of it, where the man in
Okay.
London in like 1890, his profession was to identify he could identify every accent in the UK, and then he would train people to sound like they were upper class. And so remember that and that was kind of so for when I do the Baden-Powell thing, I try to use a British accent that's kind of upper middle class, but not
Okay.
you see, so I try, and so I'm kind of familiar with some of that
Okay. Well,
those things.
so when I was a kid, my primary school teacher told my parents that I had a speech impediment. So I went to a speech therapist. They spent an hour with me, or like 30 minutes or whatever, talked to my parents, and they basically said, "Yeah, your son's got a Yorkshire accent. Can do something about it if you'd like, but he was born with that. It's kind of stuck with it. But I did do some drama degrees, and you did have to, pronunciate. I do still say bottle of water, bottle of water. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
Bold
good.
I
war,
do
yeah.
bottle of water. I do get told off quite a bit by doing that. But yeah, that's me. I'm from Hull, So Ull usually mispronounces our H's, so we go Ull and then Ezel, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
That's
not as bad as a Cockney accent, where it just drops the.
Oh no, apples and pears. I mean, idea of pears.
so.
Go ahead,
I was
Elliot.
gonna relate this to scouting once again.
Oh,
Yeah,
scouting.
let's,
What?
let's get that back into that scouting mode. That was it. Oh yeah.
I know I've talked about this on several episodes, but I went. We're from, like I said earlier, we're from the southern United States, the southeastern United States.
Mhm.
I went to a program called NAIL, which is an acronym for National Advanced Youth Leadership Experience. Sounds very scouty, is very scouty, but this particular one was the pilot course, the very first time they did it at our high adventure base called Northern Tier, which is in Minnesota, which is just on the border right there, right next to Canada. In fact, the property for this camp borders right up next to Canada. In some places is like within
Oh.
a quarter mile of Canada, which is really neat. Never been that close to Canada before, but I did go there. And some of those Minnesotan natives up there said that I had a very thick Southern accent. Now, I know that I don't, but I imagine that the same thing goes. I know. I know that.
Oh, you don't have an accent at all.
Hey, look,
I could hardly tell.
some of them folks down here, they talk like this, and they just you can't even understand what they're saying. You know what I'm saying?
But I don't talk
Hey,
like
if you
that.
go to Scotland, trust me, you have to really listen to actually understand what they're saying.
Well, I just thought
That's
it was
really
funny.
not true at all, lad. Hey, I cannot do that. Good. Good.
I'm
Oh,
going to cut this
fun.
feed.
Yeah. How many countries can we insult? We've got America, we've got Scottish.
We can keep going. We can cut the
Yeah,
live
yeah,
feed and just keep
we can
going.
talk about Sweden while we're here, you know. And I've been to scout camp in Sweden back in the old days when Sweden was still Sweden, and
Do not
it was
bring
very
Russia
nice. And
into this.
my best friend in Sweden lives in Uppsala, and
And this is how Scoutadelic doesn't pass 11 years.
Jag talar svensk.
It's all the brotherhood of scouting. See, we're
It
mimicking
is.
our brothers in scouting is what we're doing.
Yeah, that's
That's what it
exactly
is.
right.
It's all for fun. It's all for fun and international love. And I'm really glad that we were able to get you on here today,
Oh,
and really
yeah.
appreciate you on, because you are our first bridge to international scouting. Everybody else has been from America so far.
Well, you say this is it. But then again, if you think about it, my until the so most of my episodes of Scoutadelic in the early, like sort of, the early days, were leaders in the UK. So I was basically going from Hull. My first one was down in London, then it was Manchester, then it was Hull. Then I went up to Scotland. I've been all over the place in the UK, and it was my first international was a German scout who was working at Scout Adventures in Gillow Park. So obviously, I got to meet him at a Gillow reunion.
Wow.
And his first words to me were, "Oh my God, the famous Scoutadelic!" And I was like, at this point, I had a very long day, and I was just like, I want to go to bed. But the next day, he found me. We got chatting. Turned out to be really good friends. And then I found out that he was obviously volunteering at Scout Adventures. So I asked him. He was my first ever one that wasn't a UK person. And then during the pandemic, that opened me up to everyone in the world. So I had my first one was a person called Irvin, and he lives in California. And my third episode of Scoutadelic, he was my biggest outside of the UK fan, and we've been friends ever since. And yeah, so he was my first pandemic kind of co-host, and then since then, yeah, I found all these different people, met all these different people online, and then sometimes I've met them in person. Like when I went to Candlestick, I met Pani, who's a Spanish scout who's the guy who obviously is in control of Candlestick. So he was amazing to just talk to and discuss, and he's passionate about scouting like I am. So that was just great. So yeah, there's all these different people that I love to meet and get to chat to. But yeah, it's all it needs is one person to get your foot wet and dip your
Yeah.
toe in, and then this is it. But if I am your only one, I'm fine with that. I'm
No,
okay with just
No,
being your
you're
only
our first one.
individual.
Just the first. You're the
That's
first.
like, I could
I
make some
see.
jokes
see.
about that,
I
but
see.
first, but she's not going to be. Well, anyway, and here's my little medal thing I got at Gilwell Park in
Oh wow.
'63.
Nice.
In
Oh,
1963.
wow. Are you coming to Gilwell reunion this year? Because it's our 100th anniversary of
No,
Gilwell reunion this year.
no, this was just I was a scout with, and we went to the
Oh,
World
okay.
Jamboree in Greece that year.
Oh, I see.
And
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
and so Elliott, that's my World Jamboree patch or badge
Wow.
from
Wow.
'63. And Elliott, now this is yours.
That's
Whenever
mine.
you're here, whenever we see each
Wow.
other next.
Thanks.
And Mike, thank you so much.
Mine. Yeah, yeah.
I want to
Why
show
don't,
that.
oh, look, there we go. Why don't Mike?
This is
why
what.
don't-
This is
are
a
you wearing an
representation.
eagle badge, Mike? What do you wear? You're wearing a badge here. What is it?
Is that an eagle? Oh no! So I've got my Scoutadelic on my hoodie,
Oh,
just to
okay.
remind me who
Can
I
you?
am, and then
Is
I've
that
got
for
a
sale?
little. That's my little. Oh, the hoodie.
No. Do you have them? It says Scoutadelic. Do you have merch like where we can buy our own Scoutadelic hoodies like that?
No, because they're actually quite expensive, and I can't actually order. I wish I did. I wish I could have like I do have like sort of badges. So I
Mhm.
sell like sort of Scoutadelic badges for like sort of specific things. Anyone who does a video for me gets a limited edition badge. So those are very rare. As in, if you ever see anyone with those badges, they can't be sold. So it's technically you've been on an episode or you've done some video like sort of shooting for me.
That's
And then I've
cool.
started branching out with obviously my Scout
Yeah.
Scoutrageous magazine. So that's now so issue 1's out now. Issue 2 is coming out in March. And then I've got issue 3, 4, and 5 to plan.
What
And
can
then
we do in America for aids to scouting? What can we do to help for that Scoutrageous magazine? Because I'd like to get one of those. And the mark.
well, you can actually order it online,
Okay.
so you can do that. And it's got people. I think it actually has an American Scout who did a review for me. I'm trying to see if I can find the page. And I'm not going to find it because I'm under. Oh, there we go. So it was all about the graphic novel Flamer, which is about like sort of Boy Scouts, and so she did obviously a review about like sort of that. So that was quite like sort of cool. And yeah, it's got activities in here, some of which I think some American Scouts have done. And yeah, so it's.
Well,
I
that would
hope
be
it's quite
great.
nice.
I'm going to get an issue of Scoutrageous magazine, and I want to put a link so some of our followers and fans can get that too. Because that's really cool. A magazine? What a cool undertaking.
Well, so that's the thing. So in the pandemic, the UK Scouting stopped their magazine, so leaders then stopped getting anything like that. And it's weird because I started Scoutadelic because I wanted an online magazine to help people, and then now I'm literally creating a magazine. But the thing is with this one is it has QR codes. So if you want to read the article, that's great. But then also there's a video that you can watch about the article anyway. So there's a bit about Kenya, so about Pack 2, and obviously what it's like, and you know, my journey. And then I've also done like about, you know, there's a little QR code so you can watch the video and see me going around Pack 2 and, you know, behind the scenes and showing all the videos and the photographs and everything else. So yeah, I would say it's the best magazine around. However, I do know that in the US you do have, is it Scout Life? I
Yes.
think it is. So you have Scout Life. I really want to look at what they do so that I can go, "Ooh, that's a good idea." I might use that in mine. But yeah, I think you have to sign up for 12 months, I think, or something like that, with them. So I'm not quite there yet, but when I've got an empire where Scout Rangers, I can come to America and I can actually physically do some stuff with you guys, and that'll be great.
Well, did you see our last episode that was at the World Scout Museum headquarters in Charleston, West Virginia? That was last week.
Was it? I know about it because
Yeah.
I had an episode with Kevin, who used to be in charge of that like sort of site, and he did a video of the tour of
Come here.
the like sort of the place. The only thing was, he showed me outside. He showed me a bit of inside, and I was like,
Come here.
oh, show me more. I want to go.
Come here.
So
Come here.
it is again. It's on my list of places that I would love to obviously visit, but. You know, I've got to earn the big bucks, and at the moment,
No, me too.
scouting doesn't seem to actually earn me the big bucks yet. You know,
Oh,
so
I know.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you
But
if
it,
you if
it
you
gives
want
you the
if you want
big
to buy
heart.
1,000 copies, 1,000 copies of this, I'll come to America.
But it earns you a big heart. So there you go.
It does.
That's what I
I
want.
must admit, yes.
And that's what we want. What we're doing and what you're doing. That's what all of us want to do, is get that big heart and spread it around the world so that more and more children can have the advantages of scouting.
Yes, exactly.
I feel so sorry for children that do not have the advantages of scouting or some very similar activity that gets them out and healthy and thinking good thoughts and cheerfulness. Cheerful.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like our
and
Scoutadelic.
I fully agree. I think that's the thing. It's like, for me, it's not only helping a young person to feel like they're connected to a bigger family. When I was a scout, I didn't realize that there was anyone outside of our city, let alone the world, because our group didn't really do much. They kind of stayed together. So doing things like this online not only helps scouts to realize they're a drop in a mighty ocean of amazing people, but also like leaders. I think leaders and adults, they don't realize how much there is support out there, or inspiration, or help. If you're down, there's a leader who's been there, who can actually tell you what to do, or cheer you up. And there's been times in my life where I've gone, you know what, I'm going to finish Scoutadelic. I've had enough negative comments that I would like, I think it's time. And I get an email in from a leader who has watched the video that I didn't think was great or brilliant. I uploaded it, but it wasn't my best. And they've done a whole program, and they're beavers. Someone actually had got a copy of the Scout Rangers magazine, and in it was about bird feeders, and they showed me the photographs. They did this whole story, and it was a day where I was like, when you have those days where it's like, I'm not feeling it today, and it just boosted me up. And that's what I do it for. It's for that leader who needed inspiration, who needed a little spark, or to say, you know what, you can do this, or have you ever thought about doing that? Or even, that idea that's been stuck in your head for a year now, this is how to do it. And so, yeah, I want to inspire young people and adults to just be a little Scoutadelic with their scouting. There we go.
There we go. That's a good. We could
love
go on all day. That's what we say every time we have one of these. We could just go for hours at that. And I'm glad that in your last comments you talked about inspiring young leaders. Sometimes I think about the 15-year-old who is getting a leadership position in his troop or her troop, and I want them to say, you know what, this is a much bigger thing, a world brotherhood.
Exactly.
We've got camps and opportunities all over the world. I mean, it's just great. All right,
Definitely.
Elliott, what do you say, son?
I say it's been a wonderful episode. Mike, thanks again for joining us on our season 2 of AIDS to Scouting, and we hope to get some nice 10 years like Mike's got going on right now, and ever going and ever growing, and that's what we want. So
You're going to be amazing, I'm sure.
All right.
Mike, good night to you, and good afternoon and good evening to everybody else that's with us now and will listen to us this coming Thursday.
All right.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.